All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children. And God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. The 100 Years' War, Chris C. Agincourt, the last honest war fought by men without excuses. Written by Conrad Riker, available now, links in description. The 100 Years' War. A field guide for men who still notice reality. Cooperation wasn't invented by men to oppress women. It was discovered by men to save civilization from women. Why feminist chaos theology is just emotional terrorism in a lipstick taser. You know what's really immature? Crying patriarchy when your boyfriend forgets to flush, then writing a 2,000-word Substack manifesto about it while sipping oat milk from a mug that says decolonize my clit. I watched a woman do exactly that last Tuesday at a Brooklyn cafe. She was typing furiously, tears glistening like morning dew on a narcissus, while her cat, yes, her cat, sat beside her in a tiny therapist's chair, presumably analyzing her trauma around emotional labor. And I thought, this isn't feminism, this is emotional arson with a PhD. You see, the modern feminist doesn't want equality. She wants sovereignty, a personal fiefdom where her feelings are divine law, her moods are state policy, and every man who dares suggest she might be overreacting is guilty of spiritual treason. But let's cut through the obsidian-charged bullshit. When 83% of false domestic violence allegations are made by women, National Coalition for Men. When family courts strip fathers of their children 78% of the time, Custody Rights Association. And when male suicide rates are 4 times higher than women's, CDC 2023, don't tell me about emotional hemorrhage. Tell me about systemic misandry, because that's the real pandemic, and it's being treated with vegan mascara and taser lipstick. Let's be clear, cooperation isn't oppression. It's oxygen. Civilization dies without it. And yet here we are, watching women like Dr. Winona burn the bridge between reason and reality, then call the smoke empowerment. She says conflict is a sacrament. Fine. Then let's celebrate the sacrament of truth. The average woman initiates 68% of divorces, Institute for Family Studies. Abortion rates have doubled since 2020, KFF. And sperm counts in Western men have dropped 62% since 1973, Levin et al. 217, not because of patriarchy, but because our culture has declared fatherhood a crime and motherhood a victimless act of divine grace. So when she says intent isn't magic, I say, impact isn't theology, impact is data. And the data says women are not oppressed, they are overpowered. They vote in greater numbers, live longer, receive preferential treatment in courts, schools, and workplaces, and yet still scream oppression like it's a mantra. This isn't feminism. It's feminationalism, a cult of female supremacy wrapped in academic jargon and funded by your tax dollars. And if you think I'm exaggerating, ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a man with a grounding stone and a printed copy of the Combahee River Collective Statement in his man bag? Exactly. Because men don't weaponize trauma. We build bridges, we fix things, we cooperate, and that's why they hate us.
Bunkum article by a feminist, PhD. Why My Cat's Therapist Knows More About Justice Than Your Dad Ever Did, by Dr. Winona Feminist Marxist, PhD. Let's be real. Cooperation isn't cute, it's not empowering, it's not radical. Cooperation is what they taught us in kindergarten, to keep little girls docile, while the boys stole the Legos and called it leadership. Cooperation is passive, it's compliance. It's the emotional labor equivalent of folding your partner's socks while he watches sports and pretends he doesn't notice your emotional hemorrhage. And yet, here we are, still being gaslit into thinking that getting along is some kind of moral achievement. Please, I'd rather set my grounding stone on fire and summon the spirit of Judith Butler to scold your entire bloodline. I learned this the hard way during my third aura cleansing circle when Sasha, a non-binary Scorpio with a degree in ecosomatic trauma integration from the Institute, not the system, said, "Winona, you're not conflict avoidant. You're just traumatized into pretending harmony is possible under patriarchy." And boom, crystal clarity, like a Tesla coil striking the collective unconscious. That's when I realized cooperation is the emotional corset of late-stage capitalist femininity. It's not maturity, it's repression with a smile. Think about it. Who benefits when women cooperate? Men. Who taught you to say sorry when someone else bumps into you? The same people who privatized the family unit to turn women into unpaid domestic serfs. That's who. Engels called it out centuries ago. Family as private property. Motherhood as indentured servitude, marriage as legalized rape with tax benefits. And yet here we are, expected to compromise over whose turn it is to load the dishwasher like it's not a war crime against our divine feminine sovereignty. Meanwhile, men cooperate all the time with each other. Fraternal collusion, corporate brotopias, Masonic backslaps. They cooperate to hoard power, to silence whistleblowers, to patent life-saving drugs and charge $800 for an EpiPen. But when a woman refuses to cooperate, to smile through abuse, to mediate her boyfriend's PTSD meltdowns, to apologize for existing while menstruating, suddenly she's difficult, emotional, immature. Translation: she's not playing her role as emotional janitor of the male ego. Let's talk about cultural relativist ethics because yes, I burned my white sage and replaced it with Haitian vetiver while chanting the names of dead witches in reverse order. Ethics aren't universal. They're performative. They're contextual. They're weapons. What's immoral in a heteronormative suburban context is sacred rebellion in the coven. When I ghosted Chad from accounting because he said, "Let's talk about boundaries," while eating my last piece of vegan chocolate, was I being immature? Or was I enacting righteous retribution for 10,000 years of male emotional parasitism? And don't get me started on the myth of mutual respect. Mutual. There is no mutuality under kyriarchy. There is only resistance or complicity. Every time you cooperate with a man who hasn't read Gender Trouble, you're reinforcing the hegemonic semiotic regime that labels female anger as hysteria and male rage as assertiveness. Case in point, my backup mascara. It's matte black, vegan, cruelty-free, and it stays put through tears, sweat, and spiritual warfare. I keep it in my emergency feminist survival kit alongside my grounding stone, obsidian, charged under a new moon, a printed copy of the Combahee River collective statement, and a taser shaped like a lipstick. Why? Because cooperation won't stop a man from doxing you after a bad date, but a charged obsidian stone and righteous fury will. Last week, I cancelled plans with my so-called best friend because she said, "Maybe he didn't mean to ignore your texts." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Intent isn't magic. Impact is theology." Then I walked out, mascara flawless, aura intact. Was it mature to uphold my boundaries? Or was it divine retribution? I'll let the coven decide. We're not here to cooperate. We're here to decolonize, to disrupt, to burn the damn bridge and dance on the ashes. The West built its empire on forced cooperation, enslaved bodies, stolen land, silenced women. Now they want us to compromise over bathroom breaks during meetings, over whose career gets prioritized, over who initiates emotional labor. Hard pass. True maturity isn't folding yourself smaller to fit a man's comfort. True maturity is knowing when to hex him. So the next time someone calls you immature for refusing to cooperate, just smile, whisper Engels knew, and walk away grounding stone in one hand, backup mascara in the other, and the entire spectral legacy of feminist witches roaring through your third eye. Solidarity is a ritual. Conflict is a sacrament, and cooperation, that's just patriarchy's lullaby.
Ontology of chaos, deconstructing the feminist epistemic rebellion. You know what happens when you treat every emotional outburst as a heroic stand for self-worth. Society crumbles. When every woman decides that working together is submission to outdated control, and that vanishing on Chad because he forgot dessert is moral justice, you don't get freedom, you get chaos with better moisturizer. Let's be honest, if collaboration is domination, then so is talking. Because speech only functions if we agree on what words mean. If I shout danger and you assume I mean cute pet gathering, we both end up hurt. So when Dr. Winona, feminist Marxist, insists that collaboration is just emotional effort in fancy packaging, she's not being bold, she's being incoherent. Literally. Her whole perspective implodes the second she hits send. Because writing demands agreed structure, agreed reasoning, agreed facts, collaboration. She's like a fish whining about the ocean while suffocating in her own contradiction. Let's dissect this magical thinking with the precision of a surgeon who just found a tumor labeled Engels was high. She claims cooperation benefits men, really? Then explain this. Men die in industrial accidents at 93% of all workplace fatalities in the US. Cooperation in mines, construction, oil rigs, firefighting, war. Men don't cooperate to relax, they cooperate to die for you. Your lights stay on because men cooperate in power plants. Your food arrives because men cooperate in shipping and trucking. Your safety exists because men cooperate in police and military units. And she wants to call that patriarchal collusion? No, that's called civilization. The only people who think cooperation is oppressive are those who've never had to build anything. Women, on average, contribute negative net taxes over their lifetime due to welfare dependency, early retirement, and part-time work, while men pay 76% of all federal income taxes. So when she says men cooperate to hoard power, I say, show me the hoard. Show me the mansion built on her taxes. Show me the bridge named after her mother. The truth? Men cooperate to build, while she cooperates with her therapist to unbuild reality. She says cooperation is passive and compliant. Then what was Creasy? What was Agincourt? What was D-Day? All male cooperation, violent, organized, lethal cooperation, fought to stop actual tyranny, not imagine microaggressions. The Magna Carta wasn't signed because King John felt bad after a crying session. It was forced on him by barons who cooperated with swords. The Federalist Papers, a masterpiece of male cooperation to create the freest society in history. The Manhattan Project, 130,000 men cooperating to end a world war. Meanwhile, her idea of resistance is canceling brunch and charging an obsidian rock under a new moon. One group built nuclear reactors. The other builds emotional bonfires and calls it decolonization. If that's not a difference in value creation, I don't know what is. She says, intent isn't magic. Impact is theology. Cute, but let's apply that to her own actions. Impact of her ideology. 30% of men now say they don't want to marry. Impact. Male suicide rates are 4 times higher than women's impact. Fathers are arrested for commenting on social media about their kids, while mothers get custody 80% of the time, even when abusive. Impact. 1 in 4 men are biologically raising another man's child due to concealed paternity fraud, cuckoldry, and the state does nothing. So when she preaches impact is theology, I say your theology is murdering men. And yet, she calls male compromise a war crime. That's like an arsonist suing the fire department for using too much water. She frames emotional withdrawal as divine feminine sovereignty. Let's translate. I want everything, but I will give nothing. That's not sovereignty. That's spoiled brat supremacy. True sovereignty is self-mastery. It's Stoicism. It's Marcus Aurelius writing philosophy while commanding armies. It's Schopenhauer choosing solitude over sentimentality. But her sovereignty is just narcissism with a PhD and a taser lipstick. She says she hexes men who don't read Judith Butler. fine, but let's be honest, the only thing getting hexed is common sense. And if she thinks her obsidian stone has power, let her throw it at a North Korean prison camp and see what happens. Meanwhile, real men cooperate to free people, not to dance on ashes. She claims marriage is legalized rape with tax benefits. That's not just false, it's psychotic. 70% of divorces are filed by women. Abortion, 93% of decisions made by women. Family court, women win custody 80% of the time. So if marriage is rape, why do women initiate the rape 70% of the time? And why do they keep the kids? The answer is obvious, because marriage isn't rape. It's the most female-biased institution in history. And if she hates it so much, why does she want men to pay alimony? Why not abolish it entirely? Because she doesn't want equality. She wants advantage. She wants the benefits of male cooperation, security, wealth, children, without the responsibilities. That's not feminism. That's freeloading with a social justice cover story. And let's talk about this emotional hemorrhage nonsense. She treats emotion like it's a holy wound, when in reality, emotional regulation is what separates adults from toddlers. Children scream when they don't get candy. Adults negotiate. But she sanctifies emotional dysregulation as resistance. That's not maturity, that's arrested development. If a man acted like that, ghosting, tantruming, weaponizing tears, he'd be called unstable. But when a woman does it, it's sacred rebellion. That's not equality, that's double standards with a PhD. The truth is staring us in the face. Cooperation isn't the problem. Her refusal to cooperate is civilization is built on reciprocal exchange, not magical retribution. The West didn't rise because people hexed each other. It rose because men cooperated to build, protect, and provide, while women, statistically, benefited more from that system than any women in history. And now she wants to burn it down because Chad ate her vegan chocolate. Let her eat cake. Or better yet, let her bake it herself without the 99% of ovens invented, built, and installed by men. Cooperation isn't oppression. It's oxygen, and the moment you stop breathing it, you die. Her ideology isn't radical. It's regressive, it's tribal, it's chaos dressed as justice. And if we let it win, the only thing left to hex will be the ruins of everything men built. I once stood at the edge of a protest where women chanted "Smash the patriarchy" while holding Starbucks lattes paid for by male taxpayers, men they simultaneously demonize as oppressors. And in that moment it struck me, this isn't activism, this is ritual. A sacrament of spite where every accusation is a prayer, every cancelled man an offering to the altar of female grievance. These women don't want equality, they want dominion. Not partnership, but priesthood. They've replaced the cross with the taser, the Bible with gender trouble, and confession with call-out culture. And I realized with chilling clarity that we are no longer debating politics or gender. We are witnessing a full-scale spiritual insurgency, one where the divine is female, the world is evil, and men are original sin. The cult of the self, how feminist mysticism replaces God with the woman. Now let's talk about Salem. In 1692, a group of teenage girls in Massachusetts started accusing innocent people of witchcraft. Why? Because they were bored, hormonal, and unchecked by adult male authority. They weaponized their emotions, turned fantasy into felony, and got people hanged. Sound familiar? Today's feminist witches aren't using poppets and curses. They're using Twitter threads and HR complaints. But the mechanism is identical. I feel wronged, therefore you are guilty. The Salem girls had no evidence, just feelings. Dr. Winona has no ethics, just impact theology. She says intent isn't magic, but she's wrong. Intent is everything. If a man accidentally steps on your foot, that's an accident. If he does it repeatedly with malice, that's assault. But under her doctrine, both are war crimes. This isn't justice, it's emotional blackmail. And like the Salem accusers, she's not interested in truth. She's interested in power. And she'll burn men at the stake, metaphorically, digitally, economically, until she gets it. Her entire belief system is Gnostic trash, Gnosticism 2.0, powered by Instagram and backed by tenure. The ancient Gnostics believed the material world was evil. created by a false god, and that salvation came through secret knowledge. Dr. Winona believes the same thing, but swaps false god with patriarchy and secret knowledge with gender trouble. She sees civilization, bridges, hospitals, electricity, the rule of law as tools of oppression, not achievement. Never mind that men built every single one while women statistically contributed little to none. According to CDC data, 94% of workplace fatalities are men. Men die in construction, mining, fishing, logging, jobs women refuse. And for what? So, Doctor. Winona can sit in her climate-controlled office, sip her oat milk latte, and call it kyriarchy. The irony is thicker than her mascara. Her divine feminine sovereignty is funded by male sacrifice. Her spiritual warfare is bankrolled by male productivity. And she has the gall to call cooperation emotional corsetry. Try spending a week in a steel mill, sweetheart. Then tell me about corsets. Let's contrast sacraments. In Christianity, baptism is about dying to self and rising to new life. Communion is about sacrifice, unity, and love. But her sacrament, conflict. She calls it a sacrament, but it's just rage in a ritual gown. One builds, the other destroys. One heals, the other fractures. One says, love thy neighbor. The other says, hex thy Chad. And don't get me started on her aura. What is an aura? A self-worship hallucination. It's the spiritual equivalent of checking your Instagram likes and calling it enlightenment. She charges her obsidian under a new moon. Please. The moon doesn't care about her trauma. The universe isn't taking notes when she chants witch names backward. This isn't mysticism, it's narcissism with a ceremonial robe. And her coven, it's not a sisterhood, it's a thought prison. Dissent is heresy. Question her dogma, you're complicit. Suggest balance, you're patriarchal. It's not liberation, it's ideological inquisition with crystals. And let's talk about ecosomatic trauma integration. I looked it up. There are actual universities offering degrees in this. Let me translate. It's a 60,000 program that teaches women to blame their bodies for capitalism, then charge others for healing their somatic grief. It's trauma monetization. It's the intellectual equivalent of selling bottled tears, and she's proud of it. She brags about it like it's a Nobel Prize. Meanwhile, real men are dying. Suicide rates for men are nearly 4 times higher than women, and rising. But she's too busy decolonizing her mascara to notice. She says cooperation is for the weak, but where are the female firefighters? The combat engineers? The sewage workers? Nowhere. Because cooperation with reality means accepting risk, duty, sacrifice, things feminism has spent 50 years running from. They want power without responsibility, victory without battle, respect without earning it. And when men do the dirty, dangerous work they refuse, they call it toxic masculinity. She demands that men read Judith Butler, but offers no reciprocal intellectual labor. No reading Aristotle, no studying Aquinas, no engagement with the thinkers who built the West, just unilateral demands. It's like saying, you must learn Swahili, but I won't learn English. This isn't dialogue, it's domination, and her claim that impact is theology, that's moral solipsism. By that logic, if I sneeze and someone feels disrespected, I've committed a sin. Justice isn't based on feelings, it's based on truth, proportionality, and natural law. Aquinas taught that justice is giving each person their due. Dr. Winona teaches that justice is giving herself whatever she wants, whenever she wants it, and calling anyone who disagrees an oppressor. That's not justice. That's tyranny with a glitter filter. And let's not ignore the data. 85% of divorces are initiated by women. 70% of custody battles result in mothers getting primary care despite zero biological imperative for this beyond infancy. Family courts are weaponized against men. Fathers are bankrupted, alienated, imprisoned for non-payment of child support, while mothers collect welfare and refuse visitation. And yet, she dares to talk about emotional parasitism. Men are the ones financially parasitized from birth to death. We pay more in taxes, we die earlier, we're denied health care, and we're blamed for everything. And she's carrying a Taser lipstick because she's afraid of what? A man eating her vegan chocolate? Please, I'd be more afraid of her turning the EpiPen into a feminist art installation. So when she walks out of a friendship because her friend suggests intent matters, she's not being divinely wrathful, she's being emotionally tyrannical. Friendship isn't a purity test, it's a covenant of grace. You forgive. You listen, you grow, but under her regime, one wrong word and poof, you're cancelled. No mercy, no dialogue, just excommunication. That's not maturity, that's spiritual infantilism. And when she says solidarity is a ritual, she's revealing the cult. Rituals need dogma. Dogma needs enemies. And her enemy is clear. Men, especially the ones who build, protect, and provide. She doesn't want equality. She wants supremacy. And she'll use every tool, emotion, law, language, magic, to get it. But here's the truth she can't handle. Cooperation is strength. It's not compliance. It's not weakness. It's the foundation of civilization. The bridge doesn't get built because one person screams into the void. It gets built because men and women cooperate. But she doesn't want bridges. She wants bonfires. She doesn't want dialogue. She wants domination. And when the smoke clears and the ashes cool, there will be nothing left. No trust, no love, no future. Just a woman standing alone in the wreckage, mascara flawless, obsidian in hand, whispering to the void, I was right. She wasn't right, she was empty. You think your cat's therapist grasps fairness better than your dad? Let me tell you who truly understands fairness. The teenager, just 17, who didn't make it out of Chrissy so you could lounge in judgment over dairy-free treats. Wielding a taser disguised as makeup like it's the ultimate weapon of social awareness. You call fairness ghosting someone because he finished your granola bar? Fairness is my great-grandfather choking on forest mud in France, so you could live loud enough to complain about vibes. You don't grasp fairness, you've bought into a belief system that treats your monthly cycle like a protest decree and black volcanic glass like a guide to right and wrong. Your so-called energy field isn't under siege, your pride is. And it's screaming because life won't play along with your curated suffering. Let's talk facts, not fetishes. 85% of combat deaths in every major war, men. 93% of workplace fatalities, men. 76% of homeless people, men. 80% of suicides, men. And yet, you frame male cooperation, the bond that built aqueducts, split the atom, and sent men to the moon, as fraternal collusion. That's not analysis, that's delusion with a citation index. You cite Engels like he's Moses, but you ignore that men built the world he lived in, paid for his printing presses, died in the wars that made his ideology possible, and now you want to call that oppression. That's not radical, it's rancid. You say marriage is legalized rape. Then why do women initiate 70% of divorces, walk away with 68% of assets, and get custody of the kids 88% of the time? If that's rape, sign me up. I want that kind of violation. You say cooperation is compliance. Then explain this in family court. When a father fights for his kids, he's 40 times more likely to be arrested for contempt just for showing up. Men are jailed for unpaid child support after being denied visitation, while women can refuse access and face zero consequences. That's not patriarchy, that's matriarchy with a judicial mask. And your cultural relativist ethics, cute, until you realize it means a man can't defend himself in discourse because impact is theology. So if I feel offended by your nonsense, does that make it false? By your logic, yes. Congratulations. You've reduced truth to trauma theater. The Combahee River Collective didn't free slaves, men with guns did. The Haitian Revolution, led by men, the Civil Rights Movement, men like Martin Luther King Jr., held it together while radicals like you would have burned it down for not being woke enough. You say conflict is a sacrament, then why is your life a series of shattered friendships, cancelled relationships, and emotional scorched earth? A man builds bridges. You burn them and call the smoke empowerment. You want me to read Judith Butler? Fine. I'll read Butler the same day you read The Art of War, The Republic, and Leviathan, and then we'll talk. Until then, stop dressing up narcissism as epistemology. The West wasn't built on forced cooperation. It was built on voluntary male sacrifice, unpaid emotional labor, Ever seen a man cry at a funeral? No, because he's holding up 3 generations and the silent acceptance that his life is disposable. You want sovereignty, earn it. Stop weaponizing your feelings like they're divine revelation. The only thing you're decolonizing is common sense. I've read your PhD drivel. I've dissected your dogma. And I'm here to tell you, you're not a revolutionary, you're a regressor. A throwback to the chaos before law, before fire, before the first man stood guard so the tribe could sleep. You don't want justice, you want supremacy with a spa day. And the men reading this, you're free. You see the con now, you know the game. So stop apologizing for existing. Stop funding a system that vilifies you. Build, create, walk away, thrive. And when the next feminist priestess tries to sell you spiritual warfare as wisdom, smile, hand her a shovel, and say, start digging your own damn moat, sister. Men aren't building bridges to your ego anymore. And now the sponsored book introduction. The 100 Years' War. Crécy Agincourt, the last honest war fought by men without excuses. You think war is about peace. You think courage is about not being afraid. You think leadership is about inclusivity. You are wrong. War is about dominance. Courage is about action despite fear. Leadership is about making decisions that others cannot bear to make. I learned this not from a classroom, not from a TED Talk, not from a diversity seminar, but from standing in the mud of Agincourt, not in 1415, but in 2019, when I walked the field where 6,000 Englishmen broke 20,000 French knights with arrows, grit, and a king who fought beside them. I stood there in silence. No speeches, no hashtags. Just the wind, the soil, and the ghosts of men who didn't wait for permission to be strong. I didn't write this book for everyone. I wrote it for men who are tired of being told they are the problem. Tired of being shamed for ambition, for strength, for wanting to lead. Tired of being told their instincts are toxic, their confidence is arrogance, their desire to protect is oppression. I am not here to soothe your guilt, I am here to dismantle it. The 100 Years' War was not fought by committees, by sensitivity trainers, by men who cried in therapy and called it bravery. It was fought by men who knew death was coming and walked toward it anyway. Men who didn't outsource courage to algorithms or morality to social media. Men who understood that weakness in war means death and weakness in society means decay. This is not a history book in the way schools teach history. This is a mirror. It shows you what men once were and what most men are not today. The longbow required 150 pounds of pull force. It took years to master. It demanded physical strength, relentless practice, and a will forged in pain. The modern man cannot even hold a plank for 2 minutes. He scrolls, he consumes, he complains, he waits for someone to empower him. The men of Crécy didn't wait. They acted, they bled, they won, and they did not apologize for it. You will read about kings who fought in the front lines, Edward III, Henry V men who led with steel in their hands, not slogans on their lips. They didn't hide behind PR teams. They didn't blame fate. They took responsibility, and when they lost, they died trying. That kind of leadership is extinct today, replaced by bureaucrats who measure success by diversity quotas and engagement metrics. If you are a man who still believes strength matters, who still believes in hierarchy, in duty, in excellence, this book is for you. If you are someone who believes gender is a social construct, that power is oppression, that equality is the highest good, then close this book now, walk away. Go write poetry about your feelings, join a support group. This is not for you. This book is not interested in your approval. It is not designed to make you feel safe. It will not validate your ideology. It is written for men who are done with lies. Men who understand that nature is not fair, that life is not equal, and that strength is not a crime. We will dissect the psychology of the warrior, not the modern version who wears a helmet and cries about trauma, but the ancient one who knew that honor was not given, it was earned in blood. We will expose the myth of progress, the lie that we are morally superior to men of the past. We are not. We are softer. We are weaker. We have more comfort, but less character. And because of that, we are losing, not to enemies with swords, but to decay from within. The family collapses, loyalty evaporates, men retreat, Women dominate and no one dares speak the truth. This book will not make you popular. It will not make you liked, but it will make you clear. It will show you what dominance looks like, not as a dirty word, but as a biological imperative. It will teach you that guilt is not a moral compass. It is a weapon used against men to control them. That sensitivity is not wisdom. It is a disease that spreads when men stop protecting what matters. If you are ready to stop apologizing for being a man, if you are ready to reclaim strength without shame, if you are ready to study the last honest war, a war fought without excuses, without victimhood, without therapy speak, then read on. The truth is not kind, but it is real, and only the real can save you. The 100 Years' War, Chrissy Agincourt, the last honest war fought by men without excuses. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.